It's over. I'm not a researcher. I don't know how this works, but I do know slavery is slavery. It's over. And the next morning, he sent me something that he found online. And he said, I found an article that has the name of the person that you said you're looking for, but some university person is also researching him. And I said, well, that's not him. Because if the university is researching our family, we would know. We don't know why that information would have been passed down, right? It wouldn't be a secret. So I started my time traveling. I started to go back in time and I reached out to the University of New Hampshire. And I found the person who had lectured about Oliver Gilbert, the slave. And I said, no, she answered the phone and I said, I don't think this is me, but I want to tell you that I have an ancestor with the same name. And after we talked, she said, this is the same person. I've been researching your ancestor for 10 years. Okay? And she said, do you know about your family's papers? I said, we don't have, see, I told you this wasn't the right family. We don't have family papers. We're just an ordinary family from Philadelphia. Family papers are things that people have when they're important or special, they've done something. We're just basic. And she said, oh, quite contraire. You do have family papers, and they're in the hands of an antique dealer in Philadelphia, and the university wants them, and she will not give them to us. So she gave me the number of the antique dealer, and I called. The antique dealer's name was Ethel Hawkins. She was an African-American woman who had a storefront in West Philadelphia. She also ran a stall at a flea market. And I told her who I was, and I said, I think you have my family papers, and we talked. And after a while, she revealed the story to me. Let me see if my slides line up. Okay. They do. So, I'm dancing with Ethel Hawkins about this family paper, and she says, here's the story. Here's what happened. She said, I had a flea market stall. And one day, in 1991, now, we're in 2010, 2009, end of 2009. She said, one day in 1991, a man came to my stall with a bag of trash. And inside this trash bag were documents. Something about Black history and he knew I was a collector, so he knew I might be interested in these documents. But there was also trash, prescription bottles and junk. And she said, I bought the whole thing. And I took it home and I spread it out on my bed. And I realized what I had was someone's autobiography with page numbers. 52 pages, legal size handwritten to be exact. And I reordered the pages because they were numbered and the word counts were circled at the bottom. Someone had written their autobiography to be published. And instead of going to the publisher, it went into the trash. And I bought it. So I called my dad and I said, Dad, what do you know? Like, she's giving me this name. What is this? And he said, oh. So what happened was, what had happened